was irrelevant. It was just a sound source, so I could test the equipment. It might as well have been birdsong. I was really happy that the reflector, which I'd made myself out of an old satellite dish, was working so well. I lowered the gain and the meter stopped peaking when the people laughed. Just then I felt a touch on my shoulder and found Carter standing behind me with a stoned half-smile on his face. I knew who he was, of course. Blonde beard plaited into a sort of fashionable rope, no shirt, and a tattoo of Mexican calaveras on his chest. I assumed, with a sinking feeling, that this hipster Jesus was something to do with the trendy crowd of picnickers and was about to kick my ass for spying on his girlfriend, something of that kind. Instead, he asked me about the reflector and seemed to understand at least some of the technical language I used in my explanation. I found myself giving him the headphones so he could listen. He told me the reflector was sick, and though this was hardly an incisive remark, it made me feel as if I'd won an award. Then, to my frank astonishment, he suggested we go back to his dorm room and listen to music. At that time, I had strict rules about the kind of music I would listen to. I wanted to avoid slippage. Old songs made me feel nervous. Also, old recordings. I wanted to be 100% forward-facing, moving into tomorrow at top speed. I'd grown up listening to a lot of 70s progressive rock, songs about space travel and chivalry with frequent changes of time signature and bombastic effects. As a teenager, it had seemed superior to me, evidence of my intelligence. I'd begun to listen to 60s psych and garage, inching backwards through the years, but at a certain point, I'd decided there were certain echoes I couldn't afford to hear, so I made a run for it, away from human history and its dark places, into techno, the oral city on the hill. Here was a shiny sound world made of pure electronic tones, in which I could float free of all context, cocooned in the reassurance that yesterday was long gone, or, perhaps, never existed at all. When I went to Carter's room that afternoon, I hadn't voluntarily listened to the sound of a guitar for 3 years, but I was so in awe of him that I broke my rules. We sat on his bed and he played me records. Vinyl records, old and expensive, lovingly dusted with an anti-static cloth and placed on a deck positioned on a paving slab to isolate it from vibration. His setup was impressive. All his decisions had been technically sound, and the equipment was peerless. The turntable was connected to twin-valve amplifiers, 50 years old or more, engineered to specifications that would be considered excessive today. They, in turn, were connected to a pair of British studio monitors that, he boasted, had once hung in the control room at Abbey Road. Until then, I had held a low opinion of the audiophile fetish for analog equipment. I considered it sentimental. Carter completely changed my mind. At first, I was solely preoccupied with audio quality. I appreciated the range and dynamics of the reproduction without paying much attention to Carter's music taste. Gradually, I noticed that everything he played was by black musicians. Many different styles, but always black music, most of it completely unfamiliar to me. I began to listen with increasing pleasure. Carter didn't so much play me his record collection as narrate it. He began with Jamaican dub. From there, he introduced ska and soca, soul and R&B, 70s Afrobeat, and 80s electro. He spun early hip-hop and free jazz, and countless regional flavors of bass and juke music. Chicago, London, Lagos, Miami. I had not known there was such music. Over the next weeks and months, Carter taught me to worship. It's not too strong a word, what he worshipped. He listened exclusively to black music because, he said, it was more intense and authentic than anything made by white people. He spoke as if white people were the name of an army or a gang, some organization to which he didn't belong. I paid no mind to his garbled explanation of the source of this black intensity. The sound was good, and I'd noticed something extraordinary that was occupying most of my attention.